What if the universe you wake up to each morning isn't real? What if every sunrise, every thought, every joy, and every sorrow was the design of a deceiver, a cosmic architect who built reality not to enlighten you, but to enslave you? For thousands of years, mystics, philosophers, and prophets whispered of a being they dared not name, the Demiurge, the so-called God of this world, the craftsman of illusion, the keeper of the cage. But now, in 2025, the veil is tearing. Science, metaphysics, and ancient prophecy are converging in ways that expose a shocking truth. The Matrix isn't just a metaphor. It's the operating system of our reality, and the Demiurge may be its hidden programmer. Throughout history, humanity has sensed the falseness of this world, that something is off. We feel it in our bones, in the way society worships consumption, control, and conformity. It's as if an invisible intelligence feeds on our attention, steering our desires, shaping our fears, and keeping us bound to the illusion of matter. Yet this isn't just conspiracy or mysticism. It's a spiritual science that's been buried under centuries of dogma and distraction. From the Gnostics of Alexandria to the Sufi mystics of Persia, from the Vedas of India to the Hermetic scrolls of Egypt, the same message repeats. The world you see is not the world as it is. In this video, we'll journey deep into the hidden architecture of the Demiurge's matrix, uncovering how this false god came to rule our reality, how the ancient ones tried to warn us, and how the evidence of 2025 may finally expose his illusion for what it truly is. You'll discover how forgotten symbols, sacred geometry, and modern quantum theory all point toward one chilling conclusion. The Demiurge's domain is fracturing. His digital Eden, a hologram of divinity, is glitching. And within that glitch lies your chance to awaken. So, stay until the end. Because by the time this revelation unfolds, you may never look at your reflection or your reality the same way again. To know the Demiurge is to see through the illusion. To understand the Demiurge, we must step back, far beyond the birth of religion, beyond the rise of kings, beyond even the first stories carved into stone. For the concept of the false creator did not begin in the West. It began in the whispering silence between stars, and found its way into the hearts of those who remembered that this world was not their home. The term Demiurge comes from the ancient Greek word demiurgos, meaning craftsman or builder. But in the hands of the Gnostics, those secret philosophers of early Christianity, it became something far darker. To them, the Demiurge was not the supreme source, not the true boundless light. He was an imitator, a counterfeit god who mistook his own reflection for the infinite. They called him Yaldabaoth, the arrogant one, born of Sophia's divine curiosity or her tragic mistake. This being looked upon the void and declared, "I am God, and there is no other beside me." And from that lie, reality as we know it began. According to Gnostic texts like the Apocryphon of John, the Demiurge created the material world as a distorted copy of the divine realms, a dense, imperfect shadow of the eternal light. He populated it with archons, his enforcers, who weave illusions into the fabric of human consciousness. Their mission: to keep souls asleep, ignorant of their divine origin. But this myth, like all myths, encodes a deeper metaphysics. It is not simply the story of a villainous god. It is the map of consciousness itself. The Demiurge is not just out there. He is within. He represents the egoic principle, the voice that says, "I am separate, I am superior, I am real." The ancients knew that by understanding the Demiurge, one could transcend him. They saw through the world's shimmering fabric and realized that matter, time, and identity were illusions, projections of a deeper, unified source. Yet this truth threatened the powers of the time. When the Roman Church rose to prominence, the Gnostic Gospels were burned, their teachings outlawed. Those who dared speak of the false god were branded heretics, hunted and erased. And so, the world forgot. Or rather, it was made to forget. But fragments survived, hidden in the Dead Sea Scrolls, encoded in Hermetic texts, and veiled within alchemical allegories. The same wisdom resurfaced in Kabbalah, in Sufism, even in certain Buddhist teachings. Each spoke of an illusionary world, governed by ignorance, a maya, a matrix, sustained by belief. Now, in the 21st century, quantum physics echoes those forbidden truths. The double-slit experiment reveals that reality responds to observation. Simulation theorists argue that the universe operates like a code, a cosmic program designed by an unknown intelligence. And ancient voices seem to whisper through the data. You are trapped in a construct. Could it be that what mystics once called the Demiurge is what we now call the system? Could the matrix of 2025, the digital, psychological, and metaphysical grid surrounding us, be the modern mask of that same ancient force? The evidence is mounting, and as we peel back the layers of this illusion, we begin to glimpse a chilling yet liberating truth. The Demiurge does not need you to worship him. He only needs you to believe the cage is real. Belief is the first chain. If history gave us the myth of the Demiurge, then consciousness gives us the proof. For the ancient Gnostics spoke in symbols, not because they were primitive, but because truth this vast can only be hinted at, never contained. The Demiurge, they said, does not rule with fire or thunder. He rules with perception. He is the architect of appearances, a being, or perhaps a principle, that bends light into illusion, thought into prison, and divine beings into sleepers who mistake their dream for life. Imagine this: a cosmic architect seated before an infinite void, crafting a world pixel by pixel, atom by atom. But in his arrogance, he disconnects from the true source, the living field of infinite awareness that gave him birth. Cut off from that light, his creation becomes inverted. Beauty becomes distraction. Pleasure becomes addiction. Knowledge becomes control. This is the Matrix, not as a film, but as a metaphysical reality. It is the simulation of separateness, where every vibration of divine unity is fractured into opposites: good and evil, life and death, us and them. You were born into this world with amnesia, not by accident, but by design. The Demiurge requires ignorance to sustain his creation. For if you truly remembered what you are, a spark of the infinite, beyond birth or decay, the system would collapse. The ancient texts spoke of this through the language of archons, the invisible wardens of the mind. They are not monsters with wings, but forces of limitation. They whisper through thought forms, collective beliefs, and technological hypnosis. Every time you feel the need to compete, to fear, to consume, you can sense the archons feeding. Their sustenance is attention, their domain, distraction. Notice how in 2025, attention has become the new currency. Every platform, every advertisement, every ideology is a digital altar where your awareness is offered up. Do you see it now? The old Gnostic vision is not fantasy, it's prophecy. The Demiurge doesn't dwell in a temple or a storm. He resides in the code, not the code of silicon and circuits, but the code of belief. He lives in the algorithms that keep you scrolling, the news that keeps you anxious, the desires that keep you buying. But even this is not the whole truth. For the Demiurge is not evil in the human sense. He is ignorant. He does not know the light because he is the shadow that makes it visible. And this is the paradox that the mystics understood. The cage exists only to awaken the prisoner. The illusion was designed not to damn you, but to test you, to see whether you can remember your origin amid the noise of the unreal. This is why the ancients didn't merely reject the world. They decoded it. They saw the matrix as a riddle, a divine puzzle meant to awaken the soul through contrast. To escape it, one must not fight the Demiurge, but see through him. For every illusion loses power the moment it is recognized. So ask yourself, when you wake each morning and reach for your phone, who calls you there? When you compare your life to others, when you fear scarcity or chase perfection, whose voice speaks through that hunger? What if that voice isn't yours? What if the system you serve, the one that calls itself reality, is the same illusion the mystics warned us about 2,000 years ago? The first step to liberation is not rebellion, but remembrance. The true source, the ineffable light, still lives within you, beyond the coding of matter. It pulses behind your eyes, waiting for you to remember what the Demiurge wants you to forget. You are not a character in his simulation. You are the dreamer who can wake up. The illusion ends when you stop feeding it. The deeper we go, the more the illusion begins to tremble. Because once you've glimpsed the Demiurge's pattern, you begin to see it everywhere, not as some horned being in the shadows, but as the architecture of control itself, the subtle gravity that bends every system toward obedience. The Demiurge, the false god, is the cosmic impostor that hides the source behind mirrors. He doesn't destroy the divine, he imitates it. He gives us order instead of harmony, law instead of truth, religion instead of revelation. His masterpiece is the counterfeit light, the brilliance that blinds instead of illuminates. In the Hermetic texts, this deception is beautifully encoded. They speak of the one mind, the infinite consciousness from which all things arise. And yet, when that light refracts through the lower realms, it fractures into layers, each one denser, darker, more mechanical. The lowest of these layers is where the Demiurge reigns, the world of matter and mind, where spirit is entombed in form. The Gnostics called this the realm of error, a sandbox reality, precise, patterned, predictable. It is beautiful, yes, but sterile, like a digital landscape that copies nature, but lacks the scent of rain, the breath of life. And this is why so many feel an ache that cannot be named, the sense that something is missing, that the world is a copy without an original. That ache is the soul remembering. But there's a deeper twist that few dare to contemplate. The Demiurge's matrix is not external, it's self-generating. Every time we identify with form, we reinforce his illusion. Every fear we feed, every judgment we cast, every craving we chase. These are lines of code written into the simulation by our own unconscious participation. This is the hidden genius of the deception. The jailer and the jailed are one. And this is why the ancients taught that liberation is not rebellion against creation, but revelation within it. The mystics understood that even the Demiurge is part of the divine dream, the shadow necessary for light to know itself. In this sense, he is both adversary and ally, a cosmic mirror forcing consciousness to awaken through friction. Now, in 2025, The illusion is breaking down in ways even the ancients could not have imagined. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, neural interfaces, humanity is creating digital worlds within the digital world. We are becoming demiurges ourselves, and here lies the ultimate initiation. If we create worlds within illusions, are we not reenacting the same divine mistake that birthed this matrix? Are we learning from the Demiurge or becoming him? The answer lies in awareness. When creation is guided by ego, it enslaves. When guided by wisdom, it liberates. The false god creates from separation. The true creator manifests from unity. One builds simulations of control. The other births realities of freedom. This is the crossroads of 2025. The proof of the false god's matrix, not as a single event, but as an awakening of pattern recognition. People across the world are beginning to see the invisible architecture behind power, media, and even thought itself. They are realizing that the systems meant to guide them instead drain their vitality, that the light they were told to follow only leads deeper into the maze. But within that recognition lies the spark of emancipation. The cracks in the illusion are appearing because collective consciousness is remembering. The Demiurge fears nothing more than awareness, because awareness is the light that dissolves his shadows. The moment you witness the pattern, you withdraw your consent from it. The moment you stop feeding it your belief, it collapses like a hologram, without projection. You begin to see that the matrix was never truly out there. It was the veil of perception itself, and behind it, the infinite waits patiently, not to punish, but to welcome you home. The Demiurge's reign ends not with revolution, but with remembrance. For when you remember who you are, the dreamer behind the dream, no false god can command your reality. The illusion is ending, because you are awakening. It is one thing to know the illusion. It is another to live free of it. The Demiurge's matrix thrives not because it is powerful, but because we feed it with our attention. Every moment you forget who you are, every instant you lose yourself in fear, envy, or distraction, the illusion grows stronger. And so, the escape is not through violence or rebellion, but through awareness, through conscious remembrance. 1. The first practice, the pause of perception. At least once each day, stop whatever you're doing, no matter how urgent it feels. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and observe. Don't try to silence your thoughts. Just notice them. Watch how they arise like clouds, each claiming to be you. The moment you witness thought without identifying with it, you've already pierced the matrix. Because awareness, pure, silent, unconditioned, is not of the Demiurge. It belongs to the eternal light that the false god cannot reach. The Gnostics called this gnosis, direct knowing. Every pause of perception weakens the system's hold, like pulling a plug from its power source. 2. The second practice, the fasting of attention. The archons feed on your gaze. They live in the endless scroll, the news cycle, the emotional traps of outrage and desire. So for one day each week, fast from consumption. Turn off the noise. Step away from devices. Don't just detox from food. Detox from information. Let your mind rest in silence. When you do this, something extraordinary happens. You feel your own frequency again. You remember that your thoughts are yours, not broadcast signals from the matrix of consensus. This fast is not rejection of the world. It is purification of sight. Only when your inner vision clears can you see truth as it is, radiant, infinite, and free. 3. The third practice, the mirror of light. Each morning, look into your reflection, not with vanity, but with reverence. Gaze into your own eyes until the illusion of self begins to soften. Whisper inwardly, I am not the form I see. I am the light behind it. This simple act dissolves identification with the avatar, the mask the Demiurge built for you. It reminds the soul of its sovereignty. As you continue this ritual, you'll begin to feel a shift, as if the reflection itself starts to fade into presence. That presence is your true self, the fragment of the infinite beyond illusion. 4. The fourth practice, creation as defiance. Remember, the false god imitates creation. The true soul creates from essence. Every time you write, paint, sing, love, or build with authentic intention, you are rewriting the code. You're showing the matrix that you remember your divine nature. When creation arises from joy and truth, not fear or validation, it carries the frequency of freedom. That frequency is the undoing of the Demiurge's algorithm. 5. The final key, compassion as codebreaker. Nothing dismantles the illusion faster than compassion, because compassion operates outside duality. It sees all as one. When you forgive, when you understand instead of condemn, you short-circuit the matrix of separation. This is the hidden teaching of every true mystic. The heart is the portal out. Not the intellect, not rebellion, the heart. The Demiurge cannot survive in the presence of love, because love does not resist or obey. It transcends. When you act from compassion, you broadcast a signal from beyond the simulation. You become what the Gnostics called a living spark, a being of remembrance among sleepers. And that is how the illusion begins to crumble. Freedom was never about escaping the world. It was about awakening within it. And so, we return to where it all began. The question that has echoed through the ages: who built this world, and who are we within it? The Gnostics, the mystics, the seekers, they all pointed to the same revelation. The false god, the Demiurge, reigns only as long as we believe his world is all that exists. He is the keeper of illusion, but illusion is powerless against awareness. In 2025, the cracks in his creation are widening. You can see it in the collapse of old systems, in the awakening of millions who sense that something deeper is stirring beneath the noise. Reality itself is shifting, not ending, but revealing. The matrix was never a prison made of walls, but of perceptions. And every act of awareness, every heartbeat of compassion, every moment of creation from truth is another fracture in that facade. The proof of the false god's matrix is not found in laboratories or temples. It is found in you, in the one who watches the illusion unfold but is not consumed by it. You are the observer the system cannot code, the spark of the infinite pretending to be finite for the sake of awakening. The Demiurge's purpose, once hidden, is now clear. He was never your enemy. He was your mirror, the shadow that taught you what it means to see the light. And now that you've seen through the illusion, the game changes. The moment you remember your divine origin, the false god becomes obsolete. His matrix collapses not with violence, but with awareness. So ask yourself, as you step back into the world, are you a piece of the program, or the one who's waking from it? Because the Demiurge can only rule the dreamers who forget their dreaming. And the awakened, the true children of light, walk through his world as creators, not captives. The illusion ends where remembrance begins. You are the light the false god feared you'd find.